Hello, welcome to my podcast on the 11th of the 11th of 22. I thought I'd do it today as it's got all the master numbers except 33. You might know about the master numbers. They are spiritual numbers, and in numerology they're very important as well. I'm going to tell you my take on them, which might be different to mainstream. However, this is what I've discovered about them. I notice them when people are born on the 11th or the 22. They're very spiritual numbers. These people then have two destinies. One destiny will be working on a really high level, usually doing spiritual work or healing work, service work to the world. And when they fulfill that destiny, they really make big changes. However, 11s and 22 birthdays and birth dates also signifies people who can use the power that they have, the spiritual psychic power that they have, to not do good. It's interesting to see which way they go. Many of them do ascend, but a lot of them don't, and they actually make other people's lives a misery, often become tyrannical and abusive and very controlling because they have a kind of psychic power, and that's what I think it is. If you know people with these numbers and you have a look at them, you might see it. I have someone I know who's an 11. She's very controlling, wants everything her own way, and is actually basically a selfish brat. And instead of going on the spiritual path, which is love and compassion, she's actually made a different choice, and she's going down the headstrong, it's all about me path, which is really unfortunate. She's an 11. The numbers can also be in numerology, where you add up your numbers to see what you are. I'm a 22. My father, I think, was an 11. And some people can be 33 in their number, the way just that it adds up, even though that'll come down to a 6. You might find it really interesting to read the numerology of those people. It's the same outcome. They'll either do really great work with their number or they won't. And that's the choice that they make. And in numerology, you've got that higher number, but when you add it up, so the 22 goes to a 4 and the 11 goes to a 2. So you can work on two levels, the lower level, which is more the mundane human daily level, or the ascended level. Today is 11/11/22, which I think is really exciting and kind of cool. So I want to do this podcast particularly on this. If you have these numbers as your birthday, or you add up in numerology to these numbers, I just want you to know that you're here to do something great and you're here to do something incredible. You might also see the numbers all the time. They are spiritual numbers, and I just get them all the time, especially lately in the last 2 months. I don't know how many times my clock, the computer, wherever I am, it's 311, 211, 111, 1211, 222, 333, 722, 833. It's just like that all the time. I just say hello all the time. And they are actually spiritual connections for you. Whenever you start getting a regular number, they will be the connection, but particularly these numbers because they're the spiritual numbers. I think you will know this on a deep soul level about the numbers. It will be good for you to go and look up and work out your numerology. You can do that on the internet and find out what you are and also what other people are around you. Often we have people around us who have similar numbers. I've had a lot of 11s around me and 22s, which is interesting because of the work I landed up doing. They didn't all follow the same path as me, and they actually mostly followed the atheist path. My father was an atheist and thought this was all rubbish. And so you might not find having the same birth date as an 11/22 will actually help you. You'll just think it's great, but then you'll find out they're actually on the opposite side of that number, how to use that number. I think the number's very spiritual. However, I think some people psychically have a darker side, and then psychically I don't think it's on the dark side a very good number to actually have if you start to misuse it. And you can misuse it. I think the Spirit and our guides are always giving us opportunities to not do it that way, but we decide to do that. Some people even have accidents, and that's their chance to make the change, and then they make a kind of a change, but they don't really make much change. If you're listening to these podcasts, you're probably a person who's quite spiritual, so these numbers will be very important to you. I think you just need to know that that's spirit talking to you, connecting to you. You might have other special numbers that come up, 17, 14, whatever your number is. These ones are different though. These are particularly for spiritual work, and that's a connection that will strengthen your spiritual work. I know that every time I see that number, they're saying, we're with you, we're right here, we're supporting you, and it's going to be okay. And I get the numbers when it's a stressful time, or if I'm a little bit lost or confused, the number comes a lot more. I notice that you just can't even make it up, because it's me just seeing what the time is right now, because I've got to cook the potatoes and get them on in time, and it'll be like 5:11. I just think you'll find this a fascinating part of your life, and it will be ongoing. You will always have it. But today is just so special, and I wanted to do the podcast on today about these numbers. I hope you enjoyed the podcast on 11, 22, and 33. And I'm sending you lots of love and light.